Welcome to another edition of Winners Get Money, Season 2, Episode number 8. That's right, number 8. I'm James Myers. I got David Rahano here. What's up, David?
What's up, everyone?
Let's go. Let's go, guys. All right, so we're heading into college football week 10. We're headed into NFL week 9. What we learned from week 9 of college football, A&M beats LSU. Yes, we were both on that game. We both lost both our bets. I had the over, you had LSU money line, and then Notre Dame destroys Navy. Navy kind of turned out to be a little bit fraudulent. I think Notre Dame won by like 45, 50 almost, I think. Yeah. And then we'll recap our best bets. Yeah, we went out of order. My bad, guys. We're gonna recap our best bets. There's our lineup for college and NFL. You guys know the drill. And then we're gonna talk about our best bets for this upcoming week. And then we'll talk Survivor. I'm still alive. Had the Chargers last week. And we'll discuss what else we learned from this week. But let's jump back. Let's get it going. Let's jump back to college football. A&M beating LSU. Your thoughts?
Yeah, LSU turnovers. I think they had three interceptions that game, and it pretty much set the tone. For Texas A&M to go ahead and just win that game. Starting early, I think LSU got up to a 10-0 start.
Yeah.
Things were looking good. I was like, all right, cool. LSU was looking, exactly how I thought the game would play out. But then A&M kind of came back, made it close at the half, and then second half they took over. So good win for sure for them. LSU now two losses, so we'll see what kind of
On
happens
the
with
cusp.
them. Yeah, on the cusp.
Dude, so many teams right now at those two losses. And there's probably going to be a couple more that join them after this weekend. It's going to be
Yeah,
wild how this 12-team playoff really shakes out now with quite a few teams having two losses. And then we had Notre Dame destroying Navy. Any thoughts from that game? I didn't really see a whole lot, but it just looked bad.
I will. I did end up watching. I think just the first half, and it was Navy just couldn't get out of their own way. I think they had Notre Dame scored. Navy goes gets the ball. I wouldn't say they're driving, but they're moving the ball a little bit. Fumble, short field. Notre Dame scores. Notre Dame, or I think again, like twice in a row, like two fumbles. Like there's a lot of just mistakes on Navy's end, and Notre Dame's a good enough team to just kind of capitalize on that, and that's pretty much all she wrote. So,
Shame.
um, yeah, shame. I kind of want to see the academy schools kind of
Yeah. Is
run the table a little bit.
Army still undefeated?
Yeah, they're 7-0.
Nice.
They have
Nice.
Air Force this weekend.
Let's go.
They're
Okay.
22
Oh, good.
point favorites. I think they're 22-point favorites this weekend. So
Dude, that's nuts.
look at them
Yeah, Air
to
Force is
to
bad
keep it
this
rolling.
year.
Yeah,
It's
they're really
weird
bad.
too, because Air Force the past few years has been the more dominant academy school.
Yeah,
Now
for a
it's
good
now
while.
flipped.
For a good
Yeah.
while. Yeah, I remember as the academy school, they were the ones that were 10-2, 9-3, whatever it might have been.
Big bowl
Um,
game.
yeah, the armed forces will every year. But
Yeah,
now,
that's
yeah,
right.
they're never going to be able to smell a bowl game. So
Okay. So a little recap on college. Oh, also quick note, BYU still undefeated. We found that out the hard way. We'll talk about that right now. I went 1-2 in college. One on Kansas. We both won on Kansas plus 10. I'll just say it because we had very similar bets. We both won on Kansas plus 10. We both lost on UCF minus 2.5 against BYU. BYU, like I said, remains undefeated. I lost on the under 54.5 with Texas A&M and LSU. And then David lost on LSU money line. We both went 1-2 for that. Overall, I'm 10-8. David is 10-10. Let's jump to you. Cool with jumping into best bets for Week 10 NCAF?
yeah, get
Let's
into
do
it.
it. Yeah. Okay. I'll start us off. Actually, we're gonna both start you off because we both have the same play. This is a pros versus Joes. I've heard from a few people, Twitter, a few guys who work over in Vegas. SMU. We are both on SMU minus 7.5 against undefeated Pitt. Both ranked teams. We're taking SMU. We're taking them to cover here. Pros versus Joes. You want to break it down?
Yeah, I mean, this is your classic. People kind of saw Pitt last week. Yeah, three interceptions in that first quarter. Um, and
Against
they just kind of
Syracuse. Yeah.
against Syracuse. There we go. Yeah, so I mean, they look good. People, I guess the public perception is kind of looking at them like, oh wow, look at them, look how good they are. I think they're ranked 18th. I want to say
I
they might not
believe
be.
so.
I want to say it's 18. We can double check that, but You have two ranked teams coming in. SMU, like they started off, losing to I want to say it was Nevada week one. You
Yeah,
know,
it was a
people,
surprise too.
yeah,
Big
people
surprise.
like were pretty big on SMU. They lose week one, kind of fall off people's radars. But these
Mhm.
last couple of weeks, they've been playing good. Winning by margin a lot of these games, and I think honestly that Louisville game too was a close game that they ended up coming out on top. And SMU is a one loss team. 9, 10 weeks into the season now.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
um, it's one of those games. You kind of see SMU 7.5 point favorites, and you think it's probably too many points, but I don't think so. I think this is the sharps are on this game, and it's going to be something that we're going to have to hammer here for sure. I can
Yeah,
see
we're
a
both
14, yeah, I see
definitely.
14, 17 point game maybe. I think they blow Pitt out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a roll too. Top 25 matchup. Also, one note: SMU's offense has completely changed. I think it was 3 weeks ago they made a quarterback change, and this quarterback that came in has been lights out for them lately. He played. Give me 1 second, guys. He was. What did he do? Oh yeah, they did. They did have a hard fought battle against Duke last week too. I just realized I totally forgot about that. They only won by one against Duke.
Did you watch any of that game?
I did not. I didn't see anything of it.
Oh man, I guess like I want to say they had a chance to. I think Duke had a chance to win with like 20 seconds left. They missed the field goal. They get the field goal blocked. So pretty much like SMU had no business winning that game.
Wow.
They go out, they end up winning in overtime. Yeah, Duke just pretty much like threw up on themselves to not win that game. Um, but yeah, it was something for sure. Probably
So
kind of what I was seeing
Jennings,
for the betters.
yeah, Jennings, we're gonna catch him. Hope we should catch him on a good week. Last week against Duke, 258, one touchdown, three picks. So definitely he struggled last week against a good, formidable Duke team. I mean, they're 6-2. That's no, it's not a bad win right there. And now they got Pitt coming in. They're gonna be fired up. Big, it might be the biggest game of the season for SMU. I believe. Let me see the rest of their schedule. What else?
Yeah, I think up to
Boston
date.
College, Virginia, and Cal. Yeah, this is definitely their biggest game the rest of the way. So, I mean, they need this too. Pitt and SMU. This could be for the playoff as well.
Yeah,
You don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, with the 12 teamer. I mean, SMU's only got one loss. Pitt's undefeated. But anyway, yeah, we're on Pitt. I mean, SMU here, -7.5 at home. Big game. We think they step up. Do you want to go next, or do you want me to go next with the next pick?
You can go with the next pick.
Okay. So we're going big game hunting, as David likes to say. We are going to take another favorite here. Probably the biggest game of the week. Ohio State versus Penn State. Ohio State at Penn State. We're taking the 3.5 with Ohio State, -3.5. Yeah, maybe it's a little square. But Ohio State had a stinker total look ahead spot last week against Nebraska, only winning by 4 as a 25-26 point favorite, I believe. Total look ahead spot, we talked about it. Penn State, I'm just not impressed. This is a classic, we talked about it as well. Classic James Franklin spot where they're this highly ranked team at home and they just lay an egg when they finally play a big boy school. Penn State hasn't really played the bigger like they haven't played that big game yet, if you will. And I think this is the classic spot. They may be without Drew Allar as well, the starting quarterback I heard. So they may go to the backup. I believe Ohio State gets it done here. I saw what they looked like against Oregon, had a chance to win it if it wasn't for the very end last play at Oregon. So I don't think they'll be intimidated going into Penn State. I think they get it done. I think they're just the better overall team. I like Will Howard, Judkins, and I think they cover the 3.5. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I certainly lean that way as well. You know, we've talked about it. Like every year, Penn State's 6-0, 7-0, and they finally play a team that goes up to their I guess their caliber, and they don't win. You know, um, so this is kind of the game that we see here with Ohio State. We think Ohio State's the much better team. This game's a 12:30 game. It's like a big noon kickoff game and I think if it would have been a whiteout, 4:30 primetime game, maybe I might stay off it, but just the fact that it's a noon game, Ohio State, better team. I think they come out and ultimately just three or 3.5
Three
for
and a
spread.
half.
3.5. Yeah, I think they covered 3.5. Not easy. It's gonna be a hard fought game, but I think towards the end, fourth quarter, they'll probably wear down Penn State, and they have a little bit more offense to keep up. So I'll certainly lean that way as well.
I just don't. I'm looking at Penn State's schedule as well. I just don't see like a really like a game that pops out off their schedule where I think, okay, they're legit. That Penn State Illinois game, yeah, they won by 14, but Illinois is in that game all the way through at Penn State. They barely beat USC. Could have easily lost that game. I think they were down 2 touchdowns almost going into the second half.
Yeah.
They played Wisconsin at Wisconsin. Yeah, you beat a backup quarterback. I just UCLA kind of hung with them a little bit too at Penn State. I don't think that yeah, I just think Ohio State's talent. I just think they're the better overall team, and I don't think they're going to be intimidated. They've been in these spots before. So yeah, Ohio State. Your next play, Dave.
Yeah, we're gonna stay with the bigger games for sure. Oregon minus 15.5 at Michigan. Um, this line just I don't know. I looked at this line. I was like, I think it should be more. Um, you kind of look back to when Texas went into Michigan and they blew them out. And I guess if you kind of compare Oregon and Texas, I think Oregon's a much better team just now, based off kind of what we've seen with Texas these last couple of weeks. Um, you know, not playing as well as we thought against Georgia because at that point, Texas hadn't really played anyone. It was just Michigan, and Michigan ends up being not great at all. Michigan just they're in a little bit of turmoil. I think as a group, it's tough. Coming off the national championship team, a lot of turnover. You have Tuttle, retiring
Gosh.
midweek. So now it's like you have to scramble to figure out who's going to play quarterback, and you only have 3 days to prepare now. So I mean, things aren't really looking good for Michigan here. And I just think Oregon will go in there and take care of business.
Yeah, I agree. I think Michigan's has a very poor offense. Just looking at Oregon overall, I think their defense is a little underrated. When it comes to the teams that don't have good offenses, Oregon's defense is shutting teams down. They played Illinois last. Illinois has a pretty decent offense. It's nothing spectacular. They held them to 9 points. Every team, Purdue, they shut them out. The only team that really put up points against them was Ohio State, and that's not bad because Ohio State has a legit offense. They barely won. We know that. We just talked about it. But other than that, every team they've played, UCLA held them to 13. Oregon State held them to 14. I think Michigan scores maybe 10 to 14 points tops in this game. And Oregon's offense, they should at least put up 35 here probably because Michigan's offense is going to be punting a bunch. They're going to wear them down. We're going to wear them down and move the ball quickly. That quick tempo. Michigan ain't used to that either, that quick tempo against them, especially Big Ten. This will be a little bit of a wake-up call because for so many years they were playing, the other Big Ten offenses and it wasn't really a bunch of fast-paced. And now they're really going to get that with Oregon. So, yeah, I agree. I think Oregon does cover here. Okay. Game is at Michigan, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Not even going to matter. We're going to go our last play, college football. We're going to go with Kentucky plus 16.5 at Tennessee. Yes, Tennessee's at home. They've been very good so far this year. But I like this spot for Kentucky, getting more than 2 touchdowns. They have a good defense. Their defense can keep this close, I believe. Ground and pound, get it going. Tennessee's offense has it's struggled here and there. I remember we watched that Bama game. They made a couple big throws. But I think Kentucky's defense is better than Bama's defense. Kentucky went into Ole Miss and beat them. I don't think they'll be intimidated here. They got a good coach in Stoops. They're playing decent ball. I think they keep it within 16.5. Maybe keep it a little tight. Tennessee coming off that big win. Are they coming off a bye? I forget. Let me see. Tennessee.
Kentucky or Tennessee?
No, Tennessee.
I think they are because I think the alpha bye after the Bama. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think that's gonna really dictate. I think they still keep within the number, and Kentucky ultimately keeps this close. Their defense frustrates Tennessee. Freshman quarterback, he's gonna go against a pretty good defense in Kentucky, as we mentioned, and I think they're able to keep it within this number. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, it's a rivalry game, so Kentucky, like, this is probably like one of the last good games they'll have on the year, so they're going to be up for this game. Going to Tennessee, like, this is a chance for Kentucky to I wouldn't say maybe knock off Tennessee off like playoff picture, whatever it might be, but it would for sure put a dent in their season. So we kind of looked at that Kansas State game last week.
Hmm.
We just thought it was too many points, and it's the thing, these rivalry games, like 16 and a half in a rivalry game just seems like a lot. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a one win, two win team. Kentucky's case, and they haven't won much this year. But I just think 16 is a lot. Like Tennessee, yeah, they might win by 14 points here, but anything more than that, I'd be pretty surprised here.
Yeah. Okay. Your last play, dude.
Yeah, so we're gonna go uh, South Carolina plus 2.5. They're at home against Texas A&M. Texas A&M burned me last week. It's not a revenge play by me by any means. It's more just kind of seeing like South Carolina as a team. Like you kind of flip a couple of those games. I think we talked about it in the last couple of weeks. You flip the LSU game when they missed a field goal. You flip that Bama game when they were the better team the whole second half. In South Carolina, they're what, a 1-2 loss team at that point. I want to say because they're currently. I have to double check what their record is currently, but the Geese have a better record than what they've kind of showed. And like the defense is good. We've seen the defense play against Bama. They play really well against them. They cakewalked Oklahoma right before their or last week. Right before their they had a bye right before their bye last week. Um, so they've been kind of taking care of business on their end. Their offense with I keep forgetting the quarterback's name, Sellers.
Sellers, yeah. Young
Sellers,
guy.
kind of from the reports that would have been like reading is saying that he's trying to develop more as like as a passer. It's only going to help them out more
Hmm.
as the season goes on. But for sure that defense is going to keep them in it. And on Texas A&M side, like the kid had a big win against LSU. You kind of look back and you look back at the game and turnover luck, a little bit. They're at home. Like that whole dynamic. But I just think this is a little bit of a letdown spot. Big win last week at LSU. They're ready to like everyone's like almost painting them into the SEC championship picture. But I think there might be a little hiccup here going to South Carolina with the South Carolina team that's hungry.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, South Carolina plus 2.5. I want to take the money line just because I've seen the South Carolina team come up on the wrong end of these close games. So
Hmm.
we'll for sure take the 2.5 here.
Yeah, I like the play as well. Just looking at South Carolina. The only game they didn't show up in really was Ole Miss. Lost 27-3. Every other game they've been in. They blew out Oklahoma. They had a real chance to beat Bama. Almost beat LSU in a game we talked about a few weeks ago where they could have easily won if a few calls went their way, which didn't. It went to LSU's favor. So yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head too with the letdown spot factor. A&M off a big win, hard fought win against LSU, running up and down the field, tired probably, and now they got to go travel to South Carolina, where South Carolina's defense just swarms you. And I think it'll be kind of a tough, gritty game probably. And I think South Carolina can squeak this out and actually get a dub. I just sometimes sellers. There's some plays where I just watch them and I'm like, okay, it just scares me. But yeah, I like at home. I think it'll be more comfortable, and this crowd will be fired up as well. South Carolina. How many losses do they have? South Carolina. What's their record?
I think they're a two-loss team to be honest,
Yeah. So they got the hope of somehow maybe we can get in the playoff.
or a
Because
three-loss team. Sorry,
three. Okay. So
Ole
they
Miss.
yeah. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, maybe we'll see. Their last tough games. They got Vanderbilt, Missouri, Wofford, and then they finished with Clemson. So this should not be a look ahead spot at all for South Carolina or anything. So they should be ready for this game. And I like the matchup. And yeah, I would take South Carolina here too. I like the play. With
Yeah, I think
that, oh good.
just real quick too. I think just because I want to say if they want to get into a bowl game, I think this is one of the games they have to have.
Yeah.
So a little bit extra motivation for them. So yeah, just a quick little tidbit ahead there.
Yeah,
But yeah, they're
knocking
four and
off.
three, so that's what it was.
Okay. Yeah, knocking off a SEC another rival, keeping them out of the playoff. What more satisfaction do you need if you're South Carolina? All right. All right, guys, let's switch to the National Football League. We will recap our plays. You want to start us off with your bets?
Yeah, NFL's been tough. Uh, tough on my end. You had a good week, but I ended up 1-2. Miami, I lost that one. They were covering most of the game, and then Miami's defense just they just didn't do it at the end.
Yeah.
Tua came back. He looked decent. Um, I was expecting a little bit better effort, especially with Arizona going out east. But yeah, so we had a tough loss there. Even tougher loss on the Titans.
Oh,
It was one of
yeah.
those fade the public type of games. I thought maybe Detroit might have a little bit of a letdown. Didn't happen. That game, yeah, I just never had a chance from the get go. We did have the win though with the Browns plus 7.5. That was for sure a Baltimore letdown spot, and Winston came in and looked really good. So yeah, 1-2 overall, 6-8-1. Um, like I said, just NFL's tough, so we'll continue to chip away, and hopefully we'll end that record with being over 500. So
That just
yeah,
shows hard. It just
yeah,
shows how hard it is, dude. NFL plays. I
yeah. What
went.
about your
Oh, good.
recap?
Yeah,
Yeah, your
yeah.
recap.
Let's go with I got dude, best week so far, 3-0, man. 3-0. We had Cleveland as well. We both had Cleveland plus 7.5, one on that. We both bet on the Arizona game, but I had the over that hit, and then I just didn't like either defense. I mentioned that. And then I had Raiders plus 9, late backdoor by Minshew on a last minute couple minute touchdown before the end of the game. Minshew was able to score when they were down 14 and put it in the end zone to I think they lost by 7. So yeah, we covered the plus 9. For me, that puts me over the 500 mark. I'm 9-7-1 overall on the NFL season. Anything that stood out week 8, we talked about, we mentioned just a few things. Scoring was up. Detroit, as we said, they look on fire. They look like a team nobody wants to play right now. And are the Rams good again? What do you think about that? The Rams, how they look Thursday night with Cup and Nakua back.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for the Rams is just being healthy. Um, the first couple of weeks, they weren't healthy. They just did not look good. But now this offense just looks new. You're new and re-energized with with cutback with the Puka
Nakua.
Nakua back,
Yeah.
and yeah. So I mean, the Rams have a chance to I wouldn't say surprise a lot of people, but they have a chance just to kind of keep things rolling on their end. We will have a play later on the Rams, so I won't go too deep into it, but yeah, I think they have a chance. I think they're live to make the playoffs, and depending on how the Niners injury wise um are doing, the Rams could fight for that division as well. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that unfolds.
Yeah, I mean that division, that NFC West division is wide open. Cardinals and Niners, I think, are tied technically, but Cardinals on the tiebreaker because they beat them head to head. But yeah, that division's wide open. Dude, it's crazy. Just a little note. It's just crazy. Before that game, that Thursday night game against Minnesota, Cup was on the trading block. They announced it and everything. They're like, we'll trade him. And then they win this game and now they just pulled him. They're like, oh, we got life again. It's just crazy how that works sometimes. I just thought that was very interesting. And then, yeah, scoring was up. A lot of overs hit. And like we said, Detroit's offense just, it's one of the best offenses I've seen in years. I'm not kidding. It's so good. Everywhere they are on every player position wise is just they're good. Like their O line's amazing. Goff's playing MVP level. Every receiver on that team is solid. Amon Ra's probably a Pro Bowler. I mean, they're just Laporta's a good tight end. It's pretty impressive to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, did you real quick too, the Hail Mary in that
Oh
Commanders
yeah,
Bears
yeah, yeah.
game?
Sorry about
I mean,
that, guys. Yeah.
yeah, there was a lot. I mean, there's a lot of good games. I think we were texting about it too. There's a lot of good games this week. Something that the
Yeah.
NFL, last couple of weeks didn't really have. Like
Mhm.
across the board, yeah, one or two good games, but these were a lot of good close games. But yeah, that Hail Mary, it was crazy.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it, man. They got again, I just don't understand when it comes to Hail Marys why more teams on defense don't rush more guys. They just go three down. Hey, let's just sit back and then we'll take our chances. I don't know. What do you think of that? Do you want to would you rush more guys or would you do like have them sit back more?
I mean, I understand it's like you send three guys to have everyone back, but sometimes these guys like I think they get in their own way.
Hmm.
If you have like one or two DBs, fighting, a couple of receivers for it, it's like I don't know. I mean, I can see it too because it's like if you just rush the quarterback, you're not gonna get any time to get the receivers all the way down the end zone, and this guy's gonna be running for his life, and then there's gonna be no one, in front of him. And it's like, I
Yeah.
do see, rushing more guys, but I think just historically, like, yeah, everyone just wants to sit back in the end zone. But I mean, this is why, because things like this happen,
It's
you know.
crazy. It really
So
is, dude. The Tyreek Stevenson video leaking where he's chirping the fans before and then he runs over. Apparently,
it's
he was supposed to cover the guy who caught it too. That was his assignment.
yeah, it's Simon that you see him just running over. That he's the guy that tips it. It's just like it's crazy. So
Oh my gosh. Just terrible. It's just that's just poor coaching too, to me. So bad on Eberflus's part. I'm sure the Bears fans want him gone. It wouldn't shock me. But do you want to start NFL best bets or do you want me to? I'll start it for us. David's a little occupied. I'm gonna go first play, Miami +6. So we're at Buffalo. We're gonna go Miami +6 here. Yeah, letdown spot last week. They uh they lost to Arizona, obviously, but I like the fact, I was telling you, I like the fact that Tua's got a game under his belt now, off the injury. Divisional game. Miami gives Buffalo games. Like they when they got everybody, when Miami has everyone, these games are usually tight. Buffalo off a huge win at Seattle, blowout win. I think they may come out a little flat this week at home. They and plus, like we mentioned, I think we mentioned a couple weeks ago, I forgot what game it was, where I said, hey, if it gets away from us, it's okay if we lose. Buffalo, I think has a 3 or 4 game lead already in the division, which is nuts. Because how bad the Jets are a flop right now. Miami's terrible and New England's terrible. So I think Buffalo may just be content to try and just get a win and get out. So I think Miami keeps it close, maybe a last second field goal, and I think they cover here because they got everyone healthy as well with Tua back. Your thoughts?
yeah, I think that game you're referencing was that Texans Green Bay game because we're
Hmm.
Texans at that point. They're up a couple. They ended up
Yeah, we
losing that
lost on
game.
that.
No big deal, but we got hooked on two
Yeah.
and a half. But yeah, I can totally say it too. Buffalo just they went to the West Coast, killed pretty much Seattle, made them look bad, and now they're coming home, and it's like maybe it's a little bit of a I wouldn't say a letdown spot, but just more of a going through the motions. You
Hmm.
know, yeah. At the end of the day, too, it's a divisional game. And divisional games usually from spreads like 6 or 7, they end up playing a lot closer than what the kind of the spread is. Um, Miami, kind of like you said, like another week of Tua. Um, that defense, scares me a little bit because Buffalo had looked so good, but this just smells like a game that the public's going to be all over.
Well,
Buffalo minus
Buffalo.
6, like
Yeah.
give me under a touchdown or anything, and I can see Miami just putting up a good effort. Keep this within 6. I'm not saying they're going to win
Yeah.
by any means, but for sure, they can come out and cover this game. So
Yeah, I think
I
and
lean that way as well.
weather's good, right? For this game,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, Buffalo. Okay, cool. Let's go your play, Dave.
Yeah. So not too much I like in the NFL. Um, I guess my two picks are just really close spreads. Um, we kind of mentioned it before. We're gonna go Rams -1.5
At
at
Seattle.
Seattle.
Hmm.
So what happens? When I think about this game, it's like the Rams. They got healthy. They looked really good Thursday night. You have a team in Seattle who I just want to say the market is kind of. I'm trying to think the best way to explain it, but the market's like down on them, and they're
Hmm.
continuing to be down on them. So it's like um, you have two teams just kind of going in the opposite directions. And
Yeah.
in my opinion, the Rams, playing good, they can come out. Um, they come out a lot better, I feel, than Seattle. Just because I mean, I just don't feel like Geno's just not. I just don't think he's the guy that you saw last year, 2 years ago.
Yeah. He
Um,
struggled these past few weeks. He has.
he struggled, and with like last week too with Metcalf being out. Metcalf, he's questionable. Seattle's pretty banged up as a whole, and I understand that Seattle's like a tough place to play, but the whole 12th man, but I just don't think it carries as much weight as it used to. So even the Bills came in last week, like I said, they pretty much just killed them. Um, but yeah, I just think the Rams, being a favorite on the road kind of, says a lot about what people think about the Seahawks. So, um, yeah, we'll look there. Rams -1.5.
Yeah, no, I like the play as well. I'm just looking at their schedule. I think Seattle's One, two. Yeah, dude. I think they're like one, two, and then they lost 2-1, 2-2. Yeah, they're 2-3 at home. So it's nothing like intimidating. They haven't been good at home. I just wanted to throw that out there as well. I don't think the Rams would be intimidated by this. Obviously, they've played there a bunch. They're a division rival. Uh, yeah, the improvement by Cup and Nakua having them back, it's impressive. McVay will have a good game plan, and I think the Rams win this game too and cover. I like the play. All right, my next play, we are going to go Sunday Night Football. Colts at Minnesota. We're going to take the Colts here, plus 5.5. They got everyone healthy, and we got Joe Flacco. That's right, Joe Flacco. Steichen, head coach Steichen, he made a change. They're going with Flacco the rest of the season too. They said that. They said Richardson will be on the bench the rest, like be the backup the rest of the season. They're in win now mode. I think it's going to motivate these players. Players are going, okay, like we're actually fighting for playoffs now. I think they keep it close. I think Minnesota will probably win the game, but Flacco's been in all these types of positions. He's not. This isn't going to be anything new for him. If Richardson was in this spot, I'd flip it. I'd probably take Minnesota here. I don't trust Richardson at all. I've told you so many times this year. I think Flacco's an upgrade, and I just don't. I think Colts keep it close, and they got everyone. Like I just mentioned, they got everyone healthy too. Taylor's there, Pittman, Pierce. They got just about everybody. Buckner's playing good ball on defense. I think they almost beat the Texans last week. Richardson's telling his coach he's tired. They had to pull him for one play. So I think that ultimately also set off Steichen to bench him. And yeah, we like the Colts here, though. I think Flack will be able to move the ball and got a competent quarterback. So we're going to go with Colts plus 5.5.
Yeah, I'll certainly lean that way as well. I guess we kind of talked about like the whole like Winston, um, you know, taking over for Deshaun last week, and the team was like ready to play for him. And I think you kind of look at here, Joe Flacco's like, hey, like he's the guy for the rest of the year. I think the team's is just going to motivate them more. They're like you said, they're fighting for a playoff spot. They could they go into Minnesota and win outright? I mean, that's to be seen. But here at 5.5, the Colts just always play close games. You know,
They do.
they make games ugly. It's always like weird scoring too, like 23-21 or 22-21, just these weird like 1 point games here and there. Um, and on Minnesota's, like home field advantage is really good on their side. You know, there's a lot of reasons why you would think like, oh, let's take Minnesota. But I think like you nailed it with Richardson. You know, if he was starting quarterback here, I think like you said, Minnesota's going to be the play. But Joe Flacco's like he's a veteran. He knows how to keep. He knows how to do in big situations. So I think the 5.5 here um, looks good. And I just feel like the Colts. Something tells me that they might win this one outright. It's just
Yeah.
something weird about that line. But yeah, I'll certainly lean that way with the Colts as well.
Yeah. Vikings have lost two in a row, too. We'll
Yeah.
see. Yeah, your last play.
Yeah, we have Browns money line. We're just gonna keep running that the Winston train. Me and you've kind of talked about it offline. A little scared of that, just because
Yeah.
Winston's just literally like I think they called him the most consistent quarterback. I remember a couple years back he had like was it 35 touchdowns and like 35 interceptions, or like
Yeah,
he
it's
was just
wild.
like 1-to-1. Um, but I just think the Browns like they're gonna this is their time to play. Like to play up a little bit. They've kind of they're not going to make the playoffs. It's more just them playing. I wouldn't say for pride at this point, but they're going to play for Winston. I think being at home, 2 weeks in a row, half a big win. I think they're going to come motivated. And on the Chargers side, it's like they came off not the Monday night
No, they
game.
beat the Saints.
They beat the Saints in a game. It was like 25-9, or
Yeah, it was
it
ugly.
was ugly. So I just feel like it's one of those games too. It's like the Chargers they don't play well too. Traveling east of the
Mhm.
Mississippi, and here they are going to Cleveland. And it's gonna be a tight game. The Chargers like to play. I've noticed like teams kind of play to the Charger style, whether the Chargers win or not. I mean, kind of
Yeah.
it's been a toss up there, but um, I think the Browns can match the Charger style here. Harbaugh's like, hard nose, defense, grind it out type of style. And I think the Browns are kind of the same way. they're kind of built the same way. So I just feel them at home, with Winston. Hopefully the good Winston, but I look for a tight game, but I lean to the Browns here, or not lean, but I like the Browns here.
Yeah. I get the play. I won't be playing it. I could go either way on this game, honestly. Just because how Herbert's playing right now. Herbert's playing really good ball. I'm not just saying that as like bias because I'm a Chargers fan, but he is actually playing really good ball. But they don't have anyone to throw to either. Just McConkey. That's it. So that could be tough with Chubbs on the Browns. Winston looked good, a lot of confidence. I just worry. I just worry with the Browns. It's just Njoku really. Chargers are a better defense, I think, than the Ravens from last week. So that's the one thing that worries me, but I can just see this game going either way. We only got a couple minutes, so we're going to speed up a little bit here. My last play, we're going to go over 45.5 Jags-Eagles real quick. I just like the way the Eagles are playing good. They're playing good ball right now with the offense. Jags are giving up a bunch of points every week. It seems like they're giving up a lot of points. And the Jags can score a little bit too. Yeah, I know Brian Thomas and Kirk are going to be out for this game, but I think Lawrence will be able to put up a couple touchdowns here. I think the Eagles will put up at least 30 in this game. I really do. I think the Jags just give up so many points every week, it seems like. So I think this gets over the 45.5. Games in Philly, good weather. We checked. I think Devontae, they're healthy. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Barkley, they look good. I think they found their form, honestly. And I think they're going to give the Commanders maybe a run for the division as well. Quick thought on that. We got a little over a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I surely lean that way as well. Like you said, the Jags, they give up a lot of points, and the Eagles, like they're finally healthy. Like they kind of remind me a little bit of the Rams, just that they're getting healthier, and now it looks like they're trying to find two things and kind of get things rolling. So I mean, I can see the Eagles kind of blowing this game out, and the Jags on their side, yeah, they're banged up, but they could put up garbage time points too. Lawrence is still capable as any to put up points, so 45.5 just seems a little low. I probably see this one 30-16, and you can see the 46. So
Yeah, I think this game will get in the 50s, honestly.
yeah, I was gonna say 50s too. I think it might be a little bit of a track meet here and there. It just has that feeling to it.
Yeah, it does. And then real quick, Survivor, we got less than a minute. My Survivor still alive. Going with the Ravens this week. They play the Broncos, 9-point favorites. We're going with the Ravens. I like the spot. Ravens off a loss against Cleveland. Game they flat spot, and then they're coming back home. Lamar, I think this is a good spot for him. And I think the Broncos are finally playing a real team on the road. They've played some cupcake teams lately. I think they have the Saints and the Panthers back to back. I mean, come on, it's just not. Yeah, so I think Bo Nix, I think it's a tough spot for him on the road. Quick thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, how many Survivor are left? 24 left.
I think it's just around maybe 200, just a tad less.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks hasn't really been